Part of the castle, which is that great big tower, St. George's. It was originally built as the West Gate of Oxford by the Anglo-Saxons to defend them from the countless Viking raids that were in as early as 1007. It wasn't the only thing the Saxons built. They built 3 other towers and a massive wall that connected all 4 of them, and it completely surrounded all of Oxford border. That's what Oxford was called back then, and at this point it was just a large, expansive part of the centre. So after the Saxons built the walls and the towers, they were nice and protected, everyone was happy, but then in 1066, of course, that all changed. After William of Normandy made himself king, he split England into different sections, gifted them to his friends, and tasked them with setting up castles all over the place to control the people there. In Oxford, it was gifted to someone called Robert D'Oyly. In 1071, he came here, he was looking for somewhere to build a castle. He saw a massive tower and a great big wall around it, and thought, there you go, there's less work for me. So that's why this exact spot was chosen. He enslaved all the sand. All the dirt they dug up from that was then piled on top of each other, and that's how that great big mound outside was built. So it's not natural, completely man-made. And there was a tower on top of it, which would have been the castle keep. That's where Robert D'Oyly would have stayed, and it was the most heavily defended spot as well. So Norman style of castles, they're normally called motte and baileys. So motte is French for mound, and then a bailey is a town with a wall around it. The one here, it stretched out from the base of the mound, went towards where the Westgate shopping centre now is, which is kind of why that's called the Westgate now. In 1531, that's when the castle became the county jail, and we stayed like that until 1996, when we were finally closed. So it'll be 30 years ago exactly, this September, so really not that long ago. Back in the Victorian era, they had a famous form of punishment called hard labour, which is absolutely pointless work made to exhaustion. And right here is where one of our more famous forms took place. Do feel free to get right up close and have a good look. So in the centre of the room, where those markings are, there stood a large horizontal wheel, and this would have been the capstan wheel. Typically these things were found on ships, and they were used to raise the anchor back up. But here's 16 inmates, they were chained to it, to a side, and they spent 9 hours every single day, 8 days off, no breaks in between. They just turned this big wheel around. If you get a closer look at the floor, you see grooves that go around the centre. Yeah, that's the path the prisoners. Yeah. So it was used for about 50 years straight, so that's how the wood's been walked that way. Yeah, it was from an old ship. And there was a slight use to the capstan wheel. I think it was mostly to make it a bit harder. Whenever the wheel was turned, water would have been pumped from the mill stream, and then it would go up the tower into some tanks, and then come straight back down. All in all, absolutely pointless, but that's a hard labour form. But I think the only reason that it was pumping water was to add some resistance against the wheel, otherwise it just would have been way too easy to just turn the thing. So in a moment we're going to start our own hard labour. We've got 101 stairs to climb, we're going to go all the way to the top. But remember, we're not going to do it all in one go because it's bloody knackering. We'll be taking a little break halfway up. But I need to give some words of warning about these stairs before we get moving. So these are Norman trip stairs, which means they are going to be trying to kill you as we go up them. It's fun like that. So all these stairs are designed to be different heights and different widths. And the idea was if you were storming the tower, attacking it, hopefully at some point you trip, fall down, stab yourself with your own sword you've got, and then you keep stumbling down and kill any friends beneath you. So just everybody be going careful, please. And it's also a spiral staircase, so go at your own pace, try not to make yourself dizzy. And there is a handrail you can hold onto. And this door here, this is our tallest door in the tower. So if you would have to duck to get through that door, you will need to keep ducking. If you didn't, maybe still duck anyway, just to be safe. The tallest of the Saxons would have been about 5'6", so that's why all the doorways up there are so short. Of course, if you think the stairs are a bit too intimidating, you don't have to do them. You can stay down here. I'll be sticking a little video on for that. And because the little one, you know you're going to have to stay down. Yep, wonderful, that's fine. So I'll get the video going for you. Clear to.
Doing okay there?
We're in tanks. That's where the water went when the capsule wheel below us was turned. You can see some of the pipes took it up. This is one of the pipes that would have taken the water straight back down. But long before that was added, back in 1642, the castle turned into a prisoner of war. This was during the English Civil War between King Charles I and his parliament. So his people, the royalists, the cavaliers, they're the ones who held the castle at the time, and they imprisoned 60 Roundheads in this one room alone. 60 of them. So we've got space, but they were crammed in here like sardines. They couldn't spread out, couldn't even lay on the floor to sleep. And they also didn't have any toilets or ready buckets. They had to go all over the place. It was said the sewage was constantly up to their shoes. And cleaning day was once every 3 months. So yeah, you can imagine it got quite nasty. And it wasn't just this floor in the tower that was used like this, it was every single floor as well. So you can imagine the whole place would have stank, and being right at the bottom was probably awful, what would you reckon, yeah. So this became a really disgustingly unhygienic space, and because these guys are prisoners of war, you'd assume they've got wounds when they get here with no medical attention, and then they're here, and pretty much everyone died, if not from infection, then from disease. Being sent here was basically just a death sentence. We had the highest death toll of any other prison at the time, just because of how death this place was. And like I said, cleaning day not being often, if someone had dropped dead in here, they would just stay and rot amongst everyone's mess until the next cleaning day rolled around. Really not a nice place to be. Eventually the Roundheads sieged the place. This was in 1646. They took the tower over, the whole city and the castle. When they saw how their people were being treated in here, they were so disgusted, they destroyed the entire castle, so then there was no way for the royalists to reclaim the place and still use it as the same horrific prison. So that's why there isn't much of a castle left to show you today. You can blame the Roundheads for that. They blew everything up, all the old walls and towers of the Bailey I was talking about. They destroyed the keep on the mound. The only reason they didn't get rid of this tower is because it had a water mill at the bottom making food for the townsfolk. So if the Roundheads got rid of that, townspeople would not have been happy with them. But I think otherwise they would have gotten rid of this tower for the rest of the place. So on that lovely note, let's keep going to the top. So just a little bit of warning that the stairs, they are still out to get you. Right to the top, there are going to be 2 very low doorways. Everyone's going to want to stay down as you go. the stairs more than you did when we came up, so just be aware of that. Watch your head again. We're going all the way to the bottom.
Okay, yeah. I'll have it first for you.
ആൾക്കാരെ തമ്മിടാനുള്ള സംഭവമല്ലാണോ?
Yeah, pretty much. Like, Emma was really struggling with this. Just
Try my jacket.
That's it. It's nice to begin the bottom first before down. No. I wasn't doing it.
That's everything now, isn't it? Wonderful. So we're going to keep on going. We're going to make our way down into the crypt. The floor gets quite uneven down there, so please do just watch your footing. So do feel free to move around the space, get a good feel for it. Like I said, just watch your footing, okay? As if on you. So this crypt here was built in 1074. So this summer it's going to be 952 years old. So another one of the older parts. And originally this place would have been stone. So these pillars here, they've got some lovely carvings on them. They would have been painted with all sorts of colours. The walls would have had tapestries littering them as well, big beautiful pictures. And being a crypt, this is where the dead were kept. Thankfully not for long, this was more like temporary storage, somewhere for the monks to prepare the bodies whilst they were being ready for their funeral, and then they were laid to rest in the graveyard. And the graveyard is underneath the courtyard, which is what you all walked over to get in here today. And in 2003, they excavated the site and they found 60 corpses just littering the space. So on your way out, you're going to be walking over 60 dead people. That makes you feel good. No, just me. Back in the English Civil War, though, you would not want to have been here. This is when the castle was still held by the Cavaliers. If they found anyone spying on them or thinking about betraying them, they would first hang them in the courtyard, but just before they were about to die, then they'd be cut down, dragged in here, and would be cut open whilst they're alive. Basically a dissection whilst they're still conscious. And if they really hated you, they would have propped you up so you could witness it all happening, watching all your insides being pulled outside. That's like a great way to spend the evening. And once they were done with you, when you finally died, they would then cut your body up into pieces and put these on display all over the city, making an example out of you. There's a story of a traitor called George Napier. They did all those happy-go-lucky things to him, put his bits all on display, with his head right at the top of Christ Church, looking down over everyone. It was said that after a few years, George's family, they were able to gather up all of his bits, but supposedly they never found his head. And apparently it's still missing, even to today, and sometimes his ghost can be seen wandering around the city looking for where it could have rolled away, supposedly at least. But at the end of the Civil War, the Roundheads, they blew up the chapel that was directly above us, and all the debris fell in here, and this place was hidden and buried. It wasn't until the prison that we have today was being built, at the start of the 1800s, that the place was rediscovered. And the workforce were sent in here to refurbish and restore the place. The floor was redone with cobblestones, but they were running out of time to finish the crypt and D-wing, the part of the prison above us. So they rushed through the floor in a matter of days, which is why it's quite a state. The ceiling was done from materials left by the old jail, and that's why there is a keyhole stuck there. It's from one of the old stone cells. They just put the ceiling up, a bit like a jigsaw puzzle, so you know what held what up, just in the corner there. And that seems to fit perfectly.
Keyhole. Big key there.
Exactly, that's what I think was the first form of recycling. So once the tour is over, you're all allowed to come back through and explore the site all over again. So you probably notice there's all these boards dotted around. I don't tend to go into them because then you've got something to come back through and read and look at. So feel welcome to do that once the tour's over, but we're gonna head off into the prison now. So these are some of the genuine cells from that were used in the 90s. We're stood in two separate ones right now. We've got two doors, two windows. There would have been a wall just there. When the place was first built, it was just one person to a cell. In the 1950s, they upped it to 3 people. And then in the 1970s, because of overcrowding issues, it was 5 people in just one room like this. Thankfully, by the 90s, they dropped it back down to 3 people. But even then, there was no plumbing in this building whatsoever. So inmates, listen, from the 1990s, they would have been using buckets and such to go to the toilet in. Very nice. It's one of the reasons they closed us down. They wanted to install the plumbing, but because of how old the building is, it would have been just too expensive, so they just built a new one. Yeah, you've also probably noticed these lovely little contraptions here. These are called pillories. They tend to be confused with the stocks, which are the ones for your feet, but they're both forms of public humiliation, which is probably where the confusion comes from. And is there anyone who would like to help me demonstrate this lovely thing? Anyone at all? Thank you very much for coming here. Can I ask your name, please?
Luke.
Luke, if you could get just up to your wrist in there for me, please. And squeeze your head through. Get as low as you possibly can. Yes. Even lower. There we are. How we doing, Luke? Comfy?
Publicly humiliated.
Yeah. Oh, already? Wonderful. Is your neck aching yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. You get some time. So, when you were stuck in the pillory like poor Luke, you would be somewhere public. People would crowd around you, they'd point and laugh, but also bring things to throw at you. Anything from rotten fruit and veg, dead animals. People can take their toilet, their chamber pot, and pour it onto your head. We're allowed to do anything. Come on, get a good handful of stuff. Come on, yeah, throw it. Throw it. There you go. Uncle Luke.
Okay.
People would also be allowed to come up and tickle you and slap you whilst you were stuck in there. Just do anything to humiliate you. And if you ever needed to go to the toilet while stuck in the pillory, you wouldn't be let out. You'd be forced to do your business right where you're stood. So, Luke, whenever you're ready, we're all watching. No, I'll save you from that part of it, man. We'll release you. Can we get a round of applause for Luke, please?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for sole volunteering.
My pleasure.
For accepting the nomination.
We'll skip that part.
Who's getting tickled?
So the duration you could spend in the pillory just varied depending on your crime. You could be there as little as an hour or as much as a day. But if you were a repeat offender, you would get a slightly different sentence called being pilloried by the ear. So you'd be stuck inside as normal, but then the guards would grab both of your ears, stretch it all the way out, you'd get a nice long nail and a great big hammer, and then you'd be hammered into the post. Are you glad I didn't do that today?
Yeah.
Because I can still get hammered in
That's
But that's not the worst part. When the sentence was over, the guards would be back, you'd be given a knife, and you would have to cut yourself free. Your ears would stay there and rot away. And usually there was some sort of slate which describes what crime you committed to be put there. The idea was that if someone was thinking of committing that same crime, they'd see it, see your ears, hopefully think twice about it. Really not nice. There was a reason for the brutality of it though. So without your ears, you were then earmarked as a criminal, and that's where the saying comes from. So the idea was that if you saw someone no ears, you don't trust them. And it usually only happened to repeat offenders who had a bit of backing, but there were quite a few occasions where someone who was in a high position of power, if there was anyone that annoyed this person, they could just get them stuck in there by their ears like that, just because they had the power. So we're so lovely to each other through history, aren't we? Yeah, he put it right. Let's keep going. I will squeeze you. This room's a lot nicer. It's supposed to represent what prisons were like in the 1700s or the Georgian era. You're more than welcome to sit on those chairs if you guys would like to, or the bed as well. So at this point in time, prisons, they were essentially fancy hotels for rich people. When you were first sent to the prison, you'd meet with the warden and you'd have a discussion about how big your room's going to be and how much rent you're going to have to pay whilst you're here. And if you had more money to spare, you could give it to a guard and they'd buy anything you asked, from nice new clothes, furniture, to food and drink, whatever. If you had the money, the guards would get it. If you also had staff, like servants or maids, they were allowed to live in the prison with you, still completing their duties, like cooking and cleaning for you and helping you dress. You were also allowed visitors, and your staff could bring them in. It was quite a common thing for a lot of inmates to be having tea parties in their cells with their guests. And a handful also hosted a few winter balls here as well. If you had the money, you have a great time. If you ran out of money or you were just poor when you were sent to prison, you would have been shoved in a tiny cramped cell with other poor people and just left there to rot. So it was really one-sided at this point in time. But when the Victorians came to power, they completely changed that system. You no longer were treated any differently regarding how much money you had. You also didn't have to pay for prison. Everyone got a cell to themselves. So for poor people, it was the first time they had their own place and their own bucket to go to the toilet in. It was huge. The disease really dwindled down. You also got 3 meals a day whilst you were here and free healthcare as well. And this was before the NHS was even a thing. And the Victorian era, everyone's got poverty, everyone's struggling. So they would commit crimes to be in here when they heard about all these benefits. And prisons became full up, and that's why hard labour then became a thing. It's a way to deter from the benefits of the prisons, the free food, free shelter and all that. We're gonna keep on moving. There is a Victorian cell on the right. It's just a single cell, so we probably won't all fit in it together, but feel free to check it out after the tour. The bed in there, it's an actual one from back then. It's made out of cast iron. Sounds awful, but feel free to lay on it. You'll be surprised. That's the bed there.
Yeah.
Cozy, right? We'll keep going through this. Would you like a mugshot? No? So Victorians, they were the ones who brought mugshots into the prisons. Victorians, they're the ones who brought the mugshots. If you guys would like to have your own mugshots taken, we can do that. We'll get random crime and punishment generated with it. We can do group individual pictures. You guys like a mugshot? One of those for yourself? Or for yourself? Good. Yeah? You want to do one? Yes, so make your way onto the top there. Very good. So think about that. We can do one together. So we can smile, we can look visually scary. Do a regular. Do regular happy. Ready? So there's going to be a bright flash. 3, 2, 1. Is that the only one you want?
ഇതെല്ലാം മെമ്മറി എടുക്കാൻ പാ
Ready? Bit extreme, isn't it? She was supposed to get the 21-day minimum sentence, but her father argued with the judge, got it shortened down to just 7 days, so it was slightly better. She would have been forced to do the hard labour with the women, so it was laundry. So it's still really not fun using like chemicals to wash clothes, which will probably burn your skin, and the mangle machine as well, which was great against little fingers like hers. And she was probably absolutely traumatized while she was here. In fact, we almost know that she was because she never committed another crime again afterwards. She never came back to this or any other prison. So we're like, yeah, hard labor kind of works, but she was probably absolutely traumatized by that. Not really. So we've got one last stop to make. These stairs, they are slightly more down, so please take care. This doorway's a little bit low, but it's even lower at the top, so it heads. So I'm going to leave you guys here. So this is the end of the tour. You've still got loads to look at. A timeline starts on that side of the room. It'll circle around and it will continue through this way behind me. And this is where the hospital wing was. There's even more to check out. And when you guys are ready to escape, just make your way straight through here. On your right, there'll be some stairs. It's down them. On the right again is the gift shop, but you're more than welcome to come back through this other side. Thank you guys. I hope you enjoy the rest of your time here and have a good rest of your day.
Thank you.
There's only room for one in here, so don't crowd me, as I know more about this prison than anyone alive. This here cell, it's rather special. Let me demonstrate. Let's pretend that I'm going to lose my temper, tear the cell apart with my bare hands, holler my head clean off, give you the raving head. So just imagine that the guard is pulling my head. So, you're gonna make a racket? Of course not. Apart from being soundproof, she's assigned as silk. No sharp corners, no ups and downs, which is like good looks. The idea was a tight band of steel mesh. So we have to be before 10 o'clock oils, you have it. And that's why particularly nasty stress.
He was trying to be Chinese person for the film Spy Game.
He was convicted of murdering a woman and leaving her body in the establishment. And because of the intense feeling, it was believed that he couldn't possibly get the bail. Was against his moment he was arrested. And so I think any consultation with the prison service, the middle marks of circuit switched the case from Stafford Crown Court to Oxford Crown Court, which is therefore found court. And luckily there is a tunnel between the prison and the court, so we don't have to worry about security, do we? Just that we haven't got any category A security within the prison at all, and for someone as athletic as him, well, there was a certain amount of capital spent on him. We actually had to rebuild a cell within the hospital over a 10-day period. One of the cells, therefore, in the building, I presume it's still there, has in fact got very narrow steel mesh behind the plant.
നീ ഡോർ തൊട്ട് നോക്കിയായിരുന്നോ? താഴെ ഇടാ. ഡോർ പാഡ് ഇടാ. അല്ല, അത് തൊട്ട് നോക്ക് ശരിക്കും.
ഞാൻ കണ്ടായിരുന്നു. ഞാൻ ആദ്യം ഒന്ന് പതിനെട്ടോടെ കയറിയത്.
ഞാൻ പേടിച്ചു പോയി.